My name is Lisa, and I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM, and I wanted to welcome you all to today's session of Solution Studio. Today, we're going to be going over purchase orders. And so, one of the things that we need to look at is why use purchase orders in our system. Some people do, some people don't. If you haven't used purchase orders, oh, that's okay. You can go ahead and multitask. Are you still able to listen while you multitask? Cool. Okay. Then I'll just keep going. And if you have any questions, since it's just us, don't hesitate to unmute and ask me a question as we go along. So if you haven't used POs before, this is a good place to start to kind of keep track of your purchases. Some people come from paper and don't have QuickBooks. So this may be their first instance of trying to use purchase orders. So it's a good thing you can also let your distributors know when you start this process that maybe they should only be allowing purchases for your company if the request is accompanied by a purchase order number. This will keep anyone from buying something on their own and charging it to your account without your knowledge. So it's always a good idea to let them know if you are using a purchase order system so that they can ask whoever's making the order if they do have a PO. The job PO contains the job number in the numbering system so that you can easily track which customer and job the parts go to. You can use it for job costing to make sure that you're accounting for the most recent pricing from your distributor. You may have that cost and that price in your price book, but you may not have updated it in some time. So when you create a purchase order, you will know for job costing exactly how much you paid for that piece of equipment or that part. So let's get started. Okay, first off, just wanted to put out the disclaimer that purchase orders do not sync down to QuickBooks. So you need to decide as a company if you're going to do purchase orders in WEX FSM or if you're going to do them in QuickBooks. So you can also do the double entry. If you create it in WEX FSM and you put it in QuickBooks as a double entry, you can do that as well and then convert that purchase order to a bill for your distributor. It's just how you guys decide to do business, but I just wanted to let everyone know that purchase orders do not sync to QuickBooks. Okay. So when you go into settings and then user management and users, to be able to do purchase orders in our system, the user needs to have the permission to do purchase orders. So if you want your guys in the field or anyone to be able to do these, you have to have this setting set to yes. Okay. Otherwise, they will not be able to see them in the system and they will not be able to pull them for a warehouse PO or a job PO. Okay. So we also have several suppliers that have worked with us to bring their items in an integrated price book in our system. These may be vendors that you use, they may not be vendors that you use. But if you go to settings, subscriptions, and then go to suppliers, we have Ferguson and Daikin as partners that you can click the plus to sign up. And what would happen, it would be added as a supplier in here with your account number, your location where you purchase your parts, and your pricing in here. So it will be updated automatically anytime that there is a price increase. If you don't work with Ferguson or Daikin, you can't take advantage of this integrated supplier feature. But you can bring in a sheet from your supplier of maybe all of the things that you purchased in the last year or two so that you can create purchase orders in the system and you can upload it. So when you have a purchase order a supplier that is outside of our system and you want to add them to the supplier catalog, you would come to more applications, go down to the data center, and submit a supplier catalog upload, and then follow the questions through. Now, one of the other things that you can do, so let's say you wanted a supplier catalog catalog upload, but you wanted to add that to your price book as well. You can choose submit a new price book upload, and they can upload your supplier catalog as your price book, and you can just tell them different questions like what income account it goes to, if you charge tax, what your markup is. So you have several options in the system. And if you load it as a supplier catalog itself, when you go to create a price book product, let me close this chat so they know that I'm not doing anything today. When you go into your price book and you go to my price book and you hit add product, you can search for items. So if I search for a 3-ton heat pump, so these are coming from price book. You can see where it says the source. This is the Ferguson Integrated Supplier Catalog. So you can create it right from that part and know that that is your cost that you're going to be paying for it. So if you create or load your own supplier catalog, you can do this as well. They will show up in here as well. When you search for anything as a price book product, it tries to match it from anything it comes from. So it could find another item in your price book that you have already created that has that name. It can come from your supplier catalog. It can come from your QuickBooks item list. So just know that if you do create that supplier catalog and load it and you're building your price book, you can use that as well. Okay. So let's say you wanted to bring in a new supplier. We have some settings in our settings because settings is where we go to do everything. So go to settings and go to purchase orders and manage suppliers. So this is our test account. We have a bunch of them in here. Some of them are integrated. The integrated ones show with this little lightning bolt, and when you hover over it, it says electronic supplier integration. And when you use the down arrow, it give you all that information. So this is basically when you create a new supplier, the information that they're going to look for. They're going to want to get your supplier name, your account number, your payment terms, your supplier terms, and then your account, the locations. You may buy from Johnstone from 2 different locations or Daikin from 2 different locations. So you may have several of these in here under the locations, and then you create your new supplier. So when you create a new supplier, to be able to see it in the system, let me show you these other settings in here real quick too. You have purchase order settings in here as well. So you can go in and put in your delivery locations. So if you have multiple locations, if you're a larger business and you work out of several locations, or you have a warehouse and you have an office, you could put both of those locations in here as well. Who the contact is, your delivery methods, and your delivery defaults would be in here as well. And there was one other section, manage manufacturers. So this is where you come in and you put your manufacturer list in here. And that's basically all it is. It is a name. You enter new and you put a name so that when the guys go in and enter equipment, that name is there for them to choose on that equipment. And when you go into the price book to create bundles, that manufacturer is there as well. And all it is in the settings to go in and put a name in there. So it would be Lennox or Daikin or Goodman. Okay. So once your supplier is created, you can go into your parts catalog. I think I have one up. Let's show you. So all the ones that you create will be under here in the drop down. And if you click on it, if you have more than one, you may have to choose the correct location for it to show all of the items that are loaded in your supplier catalog. Now I pulled up one. Where did it go? That didn't have any parts. So under the Anderson warehouse account, there are no parts. So once you create a supplier and there's nothing in here, this is what it looks like. And so if you go to create a purchase order, it doesn't have anything in here. So one of the things, the tricks to have it show on the drop down, so you can build this as you go. If you're not loading it, you can come in here and click the plus, and the only required field is the part name. Okay, so you can put in the part name and save this, and then it will show up under the drop downs. And once you do that on a job, as long as it shows in the drop down, you can choose anything that's in the supplier catalog, or you can add items. So if you don't want to load it, you can add items as you go, as you create the purchase orders, so that they'll be there next time for you to order. Okay, so you may just want a clean supplier catalog where you want to put in their things, only the things that you're going to order, because a supplier catalog can be huge and you may be looking through lots of different things. That's why when you get ready to load it, you could always ask your supplier for the last things that you've purchased in maybe the last 2 years in an Excel file, flat file without any pictures, and then they can load it. And it's not overwhelming like if it was your full supplier catalog. So if I go to a job, and this is my Jack Dawson, he's my guy, and I go to purchase orders, I can either copy a purchase order or create a new one. All of our job forms have this option to copy or to create new. And if you hit copy, it's going to default to any of the ones that you have created that is a favorite, that you might purchase the same system or the same items over and over again. But if you don't see it there, uncheck it, and then everything will show, and you can do your search by purchase order number, order name, customer, location, or supplier, and find what you're needing to copy. Okay, but favorites will save you a lot of time. Okay, so if I'm clicking on new and I want to choose that Anderson, and I think it was this one, the job account, supplier location. I'm trying to remember which one it was under that didn't have anything in it. Let me go see. No, it's the other one. There. It's the 24112. This one. And mark it for delivery and hit next. Okay, so when I hit add item from the catalog, as we noticed, there wasn't really anything in there. So you could click to add here. But if you had that part and you just wanted to use that part over and over again and edit it on the fly, you can. Or you can add your part in here. And then go down and hit save. And it says it's been added to your supplier catalog. So it automatically adds it to your supplier catalog. So the next time you go back in, this part will be there and you can use it in the future. You can, all of the information for your suppliers are up here, your customers here. The PO is going to have the same number as the job with the prefix of PO in front of it, like our invoices have I and our proposals have P. Proposal comparisons have PC. And since this is the second purchase order done on this job, it has a -2. Okay. So you know that there are two purchase orders on this same job. So if I go in and I save this, I can email it to my supplier. If I have my email set up in the supplier so that it has a destination, I can delete it or I can save it. So if I save it, it behaves just like all of our other job forms. And you can click on the PDF to see it. You can do a blind send, and if you email it to your supplier, it will give a sent history here under this little circle. So we have those throughout our system as well. Okay, so this is a job PO. So if I went to the supplier catalog and I created, let's see, a new PO from here. That's a part. Ding, ding, ding. Go back over to here. Okay, if I create a new one, I add an item to the cart. and I generate a PO. Since it is in the supplier catalog section and it is not being created on a job, I have the option to create a warehouse PO or a job PO. A job PO, I'd have to know the job number and have to come in here and put it in. And then a warehouse PO is if you're buying something in bulk, say maybe Lennox or one of your distributors is having a large sale that if you buy a certain amount, that you can get a better deal. So you can create a warehouse PO that is independent of any job to get that extra savings, and it will live on the PO list. So if you go to jobs, purchase order list, they live on the job if they are a job PO, but if they are warehouse PO, they're only going to show on the purchase order list. But as you can see, if it has the job number in it, that is a job PO. Okay. And if it does not, it is a warehouse PO. And this column will tell you as well, but you can tell by the numbers as well. Okay. It'll have a W in front of it. And a job will be our regular job format. You can come in here, and if you had named it, it will show up here. If you created it and you modified it, it will go from there. If you email it to your supplier, it will change to submitted, and you can go through all of these different steps as you get them. So once you get your delivery in, you can put it in as received, and then if everything is done, you can close it. Okay. It'll have the amount there, the job type, the job, anything read in the system, you can click on it. It will take you right to that job. So you have some options with the purchase order. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you is on a job, if you're doing job costing, and we have another webinar about job costing, that when you add an item from the price book, it will come in, click see deals, it will come in as a part here with a part cost. So let me see if I go over and find the job costing one so it shows a little bit better. So let me go to that customer. So you can see how the two different parts come in. Okay. So when I added these items here from a price book product, they had a product cost on there as well as a markup for the price. So when I add those to the invoice, they show up here and you can see the sources from the invoice. But the guys were on the way to get there and they didn't have a pad to put under the system, so they pulled a purchase order on the same job. Well, when I was going in figuring this job, I knew that it wasn't on here. I thought we had one in stock, so I came down and added the pad as another expense. And the last time we bought pads, it was 250, so that's what I put in here. Well, they did the purchase order and it's now $300. We had a $50 jump, so I don't want to do my profit and loss on this job with both of these on here. And I know that the one from the purchase order is the most current price. So I could come down and remove this other expense of the $250 so that it's correct. And the other thing is if you pull something in from a price book product and use a purchase order up here. So if maybe the condenser, you did a purchase order for the condenser because you had the air handler and the heat strip on hand and the prices were different, you could come and unclick the one from the price book and use the one from the purchase order. So this is a multi-select that you can choose the most current price. And some people don't use purchase orders at all. They come in and put everything under an other expense and go from there. Then they do have their techs or their installers clock in out of the job to get their time. They create the invoice and then they have the revenue, the product cost, the expense, their profit, and all of the other labor costs and any other expenses they might have. So there's several different ways to do it. Using the purchase order kind of keeps it in straight line, but you can come in here, like I said, and just add all your expenses at one time in one other expense as well. So this is basically how purchase orders work in our system. and the different areas of the system that it touches to make sure that you have everything set up. Once again, if you're starting or if you haven't been with us in a while, make sure to go through your settings in, I'm going to use air quotations, in your spare time so that you can go in and make sure that everything in your settings is the way that you want it to be. Because when you signed up, you may have gone in and just put what you thought might work in here for you and just started using the system because you're trying to do business and you're trying to get up and going. And then after a while, you're going, okay, this is normal. But take a look. We do add things in here. We do updates in here. And you may want to take a look at some of the features that you might not know that are there, like having that user turned on to be able to do purchase orders. So, excuse me, always go back in every so often and take a look at your settings and make sure that everything still looks good for you. Okay. Now, did you have any questions about purchase orders or anything else that I can do to help today?
Hello, sorry, I didn't realize I could unmute it.
Hey, there you go.
I was like trying to type at the same time.
Mhm.
No, I do have a question about the purchase orders. Is there a way to do like a generic $0 one for us to be able to put on the invoice and us change it in there, or does it have to be like already pre-created with the amount and everything?
Okay, so purchase orders don't go on invoices. So you can create a $0 purchase order like the one that I had part and then edit it
Gotcha.
on the
Okay.
fly with a zero amount. Let me go back to that other job. Let me go back to Jack Dawson and go to, and that way you can just use the same one over and over again and just
Gotcha.
edit it
Okay.
like you would normally do a price book product when it comes in. So if I came into
Okay.
here and I'm going to go to this one and I hit add item from catalog. The only game in town on this one is new part and it has a zero amount. So you would add that and create your new price book product. Then once it goes back to that job form, you can always click on here and you can make it anything you want. Okay. So you can
Gotcha. Okay.
rename it and then put a description on there. And so that will be the part that lives on the purchase order on the job. But if you're talking about putting something on an invoice or a proposal, that comes from your price book.
Right. Okay, so like the purchase order, like if we wanted to do just like one for like say, I'm just hypothetically using like screws.
Hmm.
We could just put in there and change it and then like say next week it's like a wire. So we
Hmm.
can utilize the same one, correct?
Yes, you can utilize the same one. When you send it to your supplier, it will say wires here instead of new part and then the price.
Gotcha. Okay. And then this webinar was recorded too, right? So I'm able to look
Yes.
back on it. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Alrighty,
How
yeah.
did multitasking
I
work
was
for you?
trying my hardest to stay focused just on you,
I
but
know you're still trying to do your work, right?
I
Okay,
am.
no worries, no worries. Yes, it is recorded, and if you
Okay.
go to, we have all of our videos that are on that article are the last video that I did. But if you
Awesome.
go to YouTube and search Solution Studios, I can't even say that. I don't know why they named it that because I can't get it out in time. But you can go to YouTube and search for WEX Solution Studios, and all of the ones that I've done are there.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Okay, let's record that one. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Well, if you don't have
Alrighty.
anything else, I'm going to let you go and get back to work.
Alrighty, sounds good. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.